Hello everyone, and welcome to Campinas in the state of São Paulo in Brazil. It's great to be back in Brazil again. So Campinas is a really interesting city in the interior of the state of São Paulo. It's got about 1 million people living here. It's not as busy and kind of crazy as the capital São Paulo, but it's still got a lot going on. I'm staying in a hotel in the area of Cambuí, which is one of the coolest areas in the whole of Campinas. It's actually bucketing with rain at the moment. It's really wet and it's been a completely wet week. It's been raining pretty much every day. There's been flooding and all sorts of things going on here. But the forecast is for sun this afternoon, so I'm hoping it's going to clear up. Fingers crossed, discover the city in a bit more detail this afternoon. Campinas is an important city because it's got an international airport here called Viracopos, so it's a hub airport and it acts as a kind of hub city as well in that respect. So yeah, there's a lot going on. It's quite a busy city. There's a lot of business here, commerce and things like that here as well. So for that reason, it's quite an important town. So as you can see from my hotel room, it is raining at the moment. It was actually raining a lot more about an hour ago, but it's still very wet. So hopefully the weather will clear up. Hello everyone and welcome to the Cathedral Square in the centre of Campinas. This is a central point in the city. Obviously the cathedral is a really important building because Brazil's a very Catholic country. So yeah, this square's got loads of bars and cafes and things like that. It's a real hub of activity here. So this square is called the Largo do Rosario. It's quite a busy square. And here is quite a famous restaurant. It's called Giovanetti. It's an Italian style restaurant. And it's got really nice Art Deco architecture. Right, so I'm now on the Praça Bento Quirino, so the Bento Quirino Square, and there is a market on today, but it is a little bit subdued because of the weather. Hello everyone, I'm now in the Jockey Club of Campinas. So I was having a look around outside and I asked if I could come in and they said yes, so that's good. Yeah, so this is a really old members club in the centre of Campinas. And it has a lot of furniture and things that come from Carlos Gomes, who is a famous composer and musician from the town of Campinas.
Aqui chamava Clube Campineiro, em 1892. E ali transformou em Jockey Club Campineiro.
Ah, tá.
Aqui é a assinatura de todos, o presidente da República, tem tudo aqui.
Que bom. Presidente da República?
Tem vários, né?
Ah, que legal. Quem lê as
Então, ninguém lê.
Ninguém.
Nobody reads the books.
Antigamente era muito bem frequentado, hoje não. Hoje a biblioteca é em francês, o pessoal que não está sabendo nem português.
A Unicamp, a nossa universidade estadual, ela quer dispor de informações sobre cada publicação, porque Sim. Lá existe um centro de memória.
Ah, na universidade.
Isso. Então, esse é de 1920.
Wow. So, 1920 this book's from. Is this in inglês?
Esse é em inglês.
Ah, so this book's in English.
Esse é em inglês.
Ah, interessante.
São coisas muito antigas.
O mais valor atualmente são os espelhos e as pinturas.
Qual data é o...
Essa aqui é 1912.
Ok, 1912, the table, this new table is from.
É antiquíssimo.
E os relógios também são...
O relógio é o mais antigo.
Ah, sim.
Está funcionando.
Que legal.
Quadros legítimos são esses aqui.
Ah, legal, muito antigo.
Os espelhos.
Ah, espelhos muito antigos. So this is a really interesting club, and I'm really pleased that the members of the Jockey Club allow me to come in to film in their wonderful place. It's a really beautiful building with loads of history. So that was a real treat to look around the Jockey Club. I can't believe that whole building's made of mud and bamboo. There's no steel and no bricks in that building. So it was built in the 1890s, so it's super old. but they were really friendly and really nice to let me in and have a look. So that was really interesting, getting to know some of the history and the culture of Campinas. So I'm now at the Municipal Market of Campinas, also known as the Mercadão, or the Big Market. This is a great place to come to buy local products. Local farmers and grocers come here to sell their products, but there's also a big variety of shops selling meat and fish and things like that inside. So I always like coming to the market in a town because you get a sense of what the local people get up to and where they buy their products. So yeah, I'm going to have a quick look inside. So they've got a really interesting selection of foods here. So they've got dry food in that one. They've got a cafe here. Scoop. Fresh juices. Butcher. Thank you. Cachaça shop. A cheesemaker. Cafes and natural products. You can see up here the market was built between 1905 and 1908. So I'm just having a quick orange juice in the Mercado Municipal. This is a good place to come, especially when the weather's dodgy. So obviously it's covered, so it's nice and dry in here. Right, hello everyone. I'm now at the Coffee Museum in the area of Taquaral, just in the outskirts of Campinas. So I read about this online, looks quite interesting. The place looks a bit abandoned, to be honest. There's not a lot going on here, but I'm hoping there's some interesting things to see inside.
Welcome to the Coffee Museum in Campinas.
So this room has original furniture that the slave owner had in his bedroom, and this is what the slave owner's bedroom would have looked like in the 19th century. So this is an original set of scales that they used to weigh the coffee when it came in from the farm, and it used to be out on the veranda so that they could weigh the coffee quickly when it came in. So this place used to be called Fazenda Taquaral, so it used to be a huge coffee farm with slaves working here as well. So this is what they would call a casa grande, or it was a casa grande, so like a big house. So it's where the slave masters or the slave owners would live and would direct all the business of the farm. So this isn't just about coffee, this museum is also about the history of slavery and how that worked. Yeah, how the business of slavery worked. So it's actually a really interesting place. It's a bit off the beaten track, to be honest. It's very quiet. I think I'm the only visitor they've had today. But if you're interested in the history of slavery or the history of coffee, then this is definitely an interesting place to come to. There's lots of really original artifacts, original furniture. So this room is dedicated to the commemoration of slave work. And you can see they've got one of these huge pestle and mortars. So this is called a pilão in Portuguese, and it's used to break up corn and wheat and things like that. I think it was also used for coffee as well. So this is a little bit about the history of the slave trade and how it worked. And then this is quite an interesting story about a slave that they've commemorated called Elisbão. So Elisbão was a slave who was hung, drawn and quartered in 1835 because he was accused of killing the slave master. But he always pleaded his innocence in the court. But he was found guilty and he was executed, hung, drawn and quartered, and his hands and feet were cut off and hung around the town of Campinas as an example. It's interesting to note that coffee production itself was fundamental in the development of the Brazilian economy in the 17th, 18th, 19th century, and also fundamental for the creation of the Brazilian state in a way, because agriculture, so things like sugar and coffee, were really the only economy that kind of existed in Brazil. Coffee in Brazil has a really important role to play historically in terms of the actual development of the nation. So I'm now going to have a quick look in the Parque Portugal with the Taquaral Lake. And Renata from the museum told me that this also used to be part of the Fazenda Taquaral, so this also used to be part of the coffee farm back in the 18th, 19th century. The Portugal Park's a really nice park, quite a big area with this huge lake. It's pretty quiet at the moment, I think, because the temperature's dropped quite a bit. It's about 20 degrees, which for this area of Brazil in the summer is quite chilly. So yeah, it's a really nice park. There's lots of people jogging and sort of doing exercise here. Lots of outdoor exercise stations. So this is a replica of a caravel boat that was sailed by Cabral, who was a Portuguese sailor who discovered Brazil in the year 1500. And this is a replica of his boat that was called Annunciação. So that's kind of a curious thing they've got here. I think maybe because the park is called Portugal Park, that's the connection, having this boat here. But it's very impressive. So interesting piece of history in the middle of the park. I'm going to head back into the center of town now. I'm going to jump in a taxi. But if you get some good weather and you're in Campinas, definitely check out Parque Portugal. It's a really nice, peaceful, relaxed place. Very green, very tranquil, and great place to hang out. So Campinas is a really interesting city. It's a bit off the beaten track for tourists. It's not the first place that you think you're coming to in Brazil, but I kind of like off the beaten track, to be honest. I find it interesting. So hopefully tonight I'm going to show you a true Brazilian buffet. So buffet restaurants are really popular here in Brazil, and they have an amazing array of food and drinks on offer. So there are some great restaurants in Campinas. I'm hopefully going to show you one of those tonight. I'm now back in town and I'm at the buffet restaurant. So this is called the Eden Bar, and it's on the Largo do Rosario where I was earlier this afternoon. It's a really good place. So when you come for buffet in Brazil, you can have two options. You can have aquilo, which is where they weigh your food and you pay per kilo, or you can have à vontade, which means eat as much as you like. I normally go for à vontade because it gives you a bit more range, a bit more options. Right, so this is the buffet, this is the salads, cold buffet, so really interesting range of foods, fruit, cheese, ham, and then over here you got the hot buffet, so here you have soup and things like that, and then you've got stroganoff, beans, rice, pork, beef, chicken. So this tends to be the kind of food I go for when I go for the buffet. So meat, beans and vegetables and a guarana. So it looks really good, looks really tasty. Right, I'm going to tuck into my food now. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. It's been a really good experience, a really good day in Campinas. I feel like I'm the only tourist in the whole city, which is kind of mad, but also really interesting and quite cool at the same time. Like I said, thanks for your time. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.